Hi, good morning. It's a fine Wednesday, and you are tuned into News Magazine on Kantanka TV with me, Irbad Ibrahim. And motivation is important. Helping the poor and needy is also very important. When you are privileged in society, how do you stretch a hand of benevolence and magnificence, magnanimity to the downtrodden? We take a little clip of how Flavor, through music, has been able to change the life of a child and his family. Those stick and stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
You are the most high. Hallowed be thy name. Lord, you are the most high. Hallowed be thy name. Lord, you are the most high. Hallowed be thy name.
You tell me, say me kind of that everything's gonna be okay. You are the father to the fatherless, the miracle working God. You make the blind man to see. You made the crippled man to walk. You are the lily of Galilee. You make impossible possible.
I got my truth in my mind. Unesino na mugane toyo. Matana chiani dima. Hallowed be thy name. Lord, you are the most high. Hallowed be thy name. Lord, you are the most high. Hallowed be thy name. Lord, you are the most high. Hallowed be thy name. Lord, you are the most high. Hallowed be thy name. I woke up strong on a Monday. I go to gym on a Tuesday. Then to the studio on Wednesday. I work it out till Thursday morning. I be chilling on a Friday. I play some shows on Saturday. If you ask me what my best day is, it's when I praise you on Sunday morning. I got my truth in my mind. Unesino na mugane toyo. Matana chiani dima. Hallowed be thy name. Lord, you are the most high. Hallowed be thy name. Lord, you are the most high. Hallowed be thy name. Lord, you are the most high. Hallowed be thy name. Lord, you are the most high. Hallowed be thy name.
You're welcome back, and today we have a few interesting stories for you. Abna, you start. I have some too to complement what you have today.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to go through the three I've got, and then,
Okay.
Education in Ghana over politicized. This is from Elo Manya Krobos, MP. That's from Peace FM.
Okay, we are discussing education, and we are doing it exhaustively, but very soon we will go into other sectors of the economy. And education is key, is central to the development of every country. And therefore, the way we are a bit wobbly about policies that are implemented to make sure the quality of education we have will be in keeping with modern trends is very important. So when you saddle that with partisanship, this political party comes and says, I don't want to work with this policy, I want to bring my own policy, then we move a step forward, then two steps backwards. You remember the 3-year, 4-year debate about the time students should spend in high school. So all of that really creates a firmament of uncertainty overhead about the future of education in the Republic of Ghana. So therefore, we call on the policymakers. If a policy is good enough, it doesn't necessarily mean you can do politics out of it. Someone wants free SHS to fail so that they will penetrate and come to power again. When these people were also in opposition, the e-blocks and others were bastardized. Distribution of school uniforms to kids. People actually bastardized some of those, educational policies. So if there is goodwill between both the NDC and the NPP, anytime they come to power, because these are the two political parties that have, at every point in time, will hold the reins of government or governance in the Republic of Ghana. So this call from the lower Manya Krobo constituency or the MP is quite important. I just believe that all the politicians across the political divide will embrace it and be forward-looking enough. It's not too much about 4-8 years you do in power. It's about the long-term development of this country. And if we don't invest right in education, our kids may be successful, but the kids whose future we are toying with now may become menaces for them in future. So therefore, I believe it's a very important thing, and we should be sincere in implementing educational policies that help. And policymakers should make sure they patronize their policies. Free SHS, how many ministers have got their sons and daughters patronizing free SHS? They attend schools where they use American and British curricula. So is that really fair to the ordinary Ghanaian that has given you the mandate to serve us? So therefore, they should be sincere and they should not play politics with education.
This actually making me to believe, or it's getting me to believe that people are rather concerned of their own, selfish interest instead of thinking of the nation as a whole and the people living in the country. Because if someone is in power and then you're praying that the person, fails in his policies or whatever that he's doing for you to come in power, that doesn't really make sense.
Yeah,
to
that's a zero-sum scheme.
Yeah.
The only way the NDC can come back to power is when the NPP fails.
Yeah.
The only way the NPP
But
came
should
to
that be the
power
case?
was when we perceived that the NDC had also failed. So this kind of, mutual sabotage, decades from now, even half a century from now, we'll just be moving around in circles. So I'm a strong advocate of the fact that electoral democracy does not really suit Africa. And if there are ways we can tailor-make democracy so that we elect a person, and the political shows are not too helpful. Every morning there is a heavy dose of partisanship. You always remind us why we should be polarized as a country. And so we think along party lines. We need to do something about that as a country, not only in the educational sector, but across board.
Definitely. And our next one says, youth in administration threaten to demonstrate over unpaid allowances.
I'm told Sir John is doing really great, former General Secretary of the ruling party. They've employed, or he's employed, a lot of people, but paying them has become a challenge. So therefore, it's a contract that these young Ghanaians have with the Republic of Ghana, and whatever is stipulated on the contract, for as long as they satisfy their side of the bargain, then the onus lies upon government to make good any remuneration promise it has made to them. So we call on the Forestry Commission to, as a matter of urgency, disburse the funds that needs to be disbursed so that they can work for us.
Definitely.
Those thick forests we have are very important for our long-term national development. There could be lumbering, there could be people harboring, negative stuff in some of those areas. So if they are not well motivated, they could easily be compromised.
Definitely.
So therefore, remuneration for me is key, Abena. For every ailing sector of this economy, I believe that if the people are motivated, if they are incentivized, then we'll get the best out of them.
Certainly. Certainly. And then our next one says, CCTV captures robbery at a suburb of Accra, Tema to be precise.
Tema is an industrial area. So therefore, if government doesn't invest in surveillance and reconnaissance, the companies themselves would want to do that because they have huge factories over there. And thank God, in the past decade or so, we've invested a lot in surveillance. When you travel from one city to another, at least on the major roads, you'll see some flashes. Data is being taken, and I'm privy to the fact that there are monitors that are used to track the movement of people. But these acts of robbery and petty crime normally would happen in alleyways.
Yeah.
The small road that runs for only 200 meters to someone's house. Government has not been resourceful enough to fit cameras all around. China is one of the best countries with very good surveillance. So therefore, it makes investigations quite easy, and it is easier to track people when they go wrong. And then again, Abena, FIFA bans Kwesi Nyantakyi for life.
Yeah, that had been a trending news for today.
You know, it saddens me when a Ghanaian is doing well internationally and a calamity like this befalls them. Because this man was only number 2 to the CAF president. Ghana was teetering on the brink of providing Africa the first person here to ascend to the realm of becoming the CAF chairman or president. So now that Nyantakyi has fallen, I don't know when any Ghanaian can go up the ranks. And even within the corridors of FIFA, he was doing so well. I had cause to question the methodology that was used in exposing him. We are all sinners, we are all criminals. We are not in jail because we've not been caught yet. So therefore, I think it's better to take out the log in your eye before you pick out the speck in someone else's eye. So I'm not happy with the turn of events entirely, even though I don't countenance or espouse the idea that leaders should be corrupt. And finally, Abena, today I'm taking your word. Delta Force Commander Bamba grabs top NPP executive job. The issue of vigilantism is very important for us to understand and also map out a strategy to tackle. So, you know, gainfully employing these youth. I see them as Ghanaians first before vigilantes for political parties. So for as long as the person has the needed competencies, government can engage them, unless maybe you think otherwise.
Not really, not really. I do support what you just said.
Yes. So that was trending news with Abena Safo. And today we have a very important guest. Anytime she comes on the show, we are all excited. Former Director of the Ghana Education Service, Madam Nancy. She says her name is on Yelpo. It's Yelpoi.
Yelpoi.
Great.
Okay.
So we'll go for a quick commercial break. When we come back, we sit with Mrs. Yelpoi. Those stay can stay with us.
Award in a school that has keen interest in academic excellence and sound religious upbringing, then Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences is the place. Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences, Great Asas, offers general arts, business, home economics, visual arts, general science and technical courses in auto mechanics and applied electricity. Great Asas has well-equipped laboratories for all the science-related courses, an ICT laboratory, and a well-stocked library. Excellent boarding facilities are available for both boys and girls with adequate security measures to ensure your world's safety. Students also have the privilege to go to Apostle Safo Suaye at Gomu Ampota for practical lessons with the proprietor, Apostle Dr. Engineer Kwedo Safo, for 1 month during the long vacation. We also have a school bus that picks your ward from home to school and back home. Great Asas has a cadet corps, a choir, drama and debating club to harness the hidden talents in your ward. Locate Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences at Awoshila Stop, Accra, Ghana. Great Asas.
Hello, lovely people of Africa. African Youth Time. This is the show, as I rightly said, that gives African youth the platform to have an up close with living legends who are helping build the continent.
The youth of Africa, they have a lot of potential.
What is killing Africans is our inability to discover and identify our potentials and what we can do for ourselves.
Nobody makes you a leader. You become a leader.
We are not poor. The resources in Congo alone can feed the whole Africa.
Onipa how ene ne da chinti e na bribia wo sori prayer hwehwe na hoto ahoto no so e ma preko pe en kukuhwe ase e no how bebre e na womu wenti e na Kantanka TV ya hye dwumadie foforo kra ya to din se edwasonsem wodwasonsem dwumadie so ya baba kuna dwadefo ne abusa wo how ene wo mama ne wo efa mu na empo se edaw bitai akira a wode pre ahwehwe wonda achen ahoto eno ti hia wo nua ba ama adwobi e wo Kantanka TV ne emfa edwasonsem emfa mbro
Omaya nyame ehrayen se eba na efamagudi a yewo efamagudi asine oman bia se oman bia betu mpon so a ne titiri no agina abodie mu nyansape ene nhwehwemu nanso Ghana oman a area ewo abodie mu nyansape ene nhwehwemu onim se oman yi mu yewo nkrofo a akwadre ewo abodie mu nyansape ene nhwehwemu na wadwe akwom so ana de ebema oman etu mpon ene se yebeji die yetumi ye atum na yaji ye hu adi na yenya metumi aye honhom Ghana hia me Ghana hia wo Ghana hia ye nyina enti hia me afia asafo akantimpo e wo Kantanka exclusive dwumadie so na yendwene oman puntu we gonna chase those crazy chase them Send Yediko, Inabeka, Miaro, Endo, Miaro, Ejumedia, Inabeye, Miaro, Endo, Miaro, Obredibo, Inabebo, Miaro, Endo, Miaro. Seni besini miara. Seni miara. Seni besini miara. Seni besini miara. Obrai besini miara. Miara. Endo miara.
Hello Ghana, you're welcome back. And today we have in the studios a regular guest because of her wealth of education and understanding and appreciation of the educational sector. She served at the very pinnacle of Ghana's education policy formulation. Former director of Ghana Education Service. And throughout the show, you can keep your thoughts coming via our WhatsApp line 0242 817-239, and in due course you'll get the opportunity to phone in and interact with our guest, Madam Nancy Yelpoi.
Yes.
Thank you so much for making time again.
Thanks for always having me.
Yelpoi is Kusasi or Sisala, and what does that mean?
Yelpoi is Dagare.
Dagare.
Yes, and it means like the news when the information has come late.
The news for the information has come. So your mother didn't have you early enough?
She did, but my father, in fact, my grandfather gave me the name, and you know the names have meanings.
Okay,
yes,
okay.
It's a long, long name and a long meaning.
You were late in coming. We hope that you'll be late in going back.
Yes, I will appreciate that from my maker.
Oh, yes, we hope to have you for a century.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm good to see you.
Good to see you too.
We've transitioned. We are done with preschool. We've done pretty much, we've covered enough territory on lower primary. Today we are starting upper primary, and that starts from class 4 to class 6. And normally on average, what age range would you have for kids that are now entering upper primary? And what are the demographics?
If we take the average age of going to school to be 6, 7, 8, it means at least by 9, 10. You should be in upper primary. And I think in the olden days, upper primary was taken as standard 1. That's what they used to say. When you hear standard 1, they are referring to P4. That's where they started counting their literate rate from. Now, talking about demography, if it's in a developed country, maybe, okay, and you say everybody should go to school at age 6, then you can be sure exactly how many people are of that age. And for example, if you have a community of 200 children, and they are all 6 years, then it means that all the 200 should go. But in third world, one, to start with, it's even difficult to discover the age, to identify the age, to find out the age. I remember when I was young, when you go to school, they'll ask you to put your hand across.
Okay.
If it touches the ear, you are 6 years. If it doesn't touch, no matter how long you stretch, you can't get.
Okay.
So it means that getting the average age for demography is a problem we must accept.
Okay.
In certain communities, they cannot get the age of the children. But then we draw a curve that at least if there are 50 people in the class, you should get about 5 people below 6, and maybe about 5 people above 6.
Okay.
That's how we deal with the demography there. They put the ages, but there's always that subtraction and addition or minus to get it.
So between ages 9 and 10, then you should have entered upper primary.
Yes.
At that point, what is the attention span, so to speak, and the power of retention of the brain of a child? And can we saddle the person with so much content to an extent that that would only be a burden in future, and the person will not be able to develop naturally?
I think even the adult, if you take yourself, how much can you retain? There's a limitation to everybody, to the human body. So if you go to school and then they give you too much, or you have too much work to do, there's very little you can absorb. So the retention really doesn't matter the age. As a human body, there's a point of resistance. But we take it that from 9 years to 11 to 10 years, you cope better than with the lower primary. And so we take you through the timetable. That's why we fix timetable. The timetable is to help us with the age and how people are able to retain information. It's not just for the fun of it.
So the timetable, how is it structured in upper primary? Do they have one course? Normally they would have one teacher. Do they have one subject and then take a 30-minute break? Or it is, you know, rigorous and consistent from maybe 7:30 when they disperse from assembly, they keep learning till 10:30, then they come out for 30 minutes at 12 and go back till 3 or 3:30 p.m. How is it structured and how effective is it?
Now you are mixing two various terms. Some years back, you go from, let's say, 8 to 3, but it's long since been changed. You go from, depending on the school authorities, you may go from 7:45 to about 12:31, not up to 3.
For the whole day?
For the whole day.
By 12:30, 30 minutes after noon, you would have closed
or
from
by
school.
1. We've given a certain number of hours to follow. But depending on the head, the location of the school, you have these modalities that heads adjust. Some start 7:45, some start 8. But there's a specific time you must start. Some even start 7:30. You must make up the maximum number of hours we've given you. You start at this time and finish. So the closing might depend on when you start. It might depend on the teacher, the head teacher, the environment. And the timetable is fixed. It's 30 minutes. And so if you have 5 subjects, you multiply 30 by 5, and then you have 15 or 30 minutes breaks in between. That's how it's structured.
In our time, there was no break.
There have always been breaks.
There's always been a break between subjects.
Not between subjects, a duration, like up to 10. They feel you cannot sustain yourself. So between 10 and 11, there's always a kind of a break, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, or 30 minutes.
No, but don't you, and Mommy, you've attended international conferences and even workshops you do here.
Yeah.
Even as elderly people, when we are bombarded with a barrage of information, you go for coffee break.
Yes.
So how about a 50-minute, you know, stretching time after maybe you do math before you transition to English? Just take a stroll and come back. Or you think we can just continue like that and it's okay?
It is not the best to continue like that. The human body has some amount of resistance. And you have to watch. People get tired. We start early. That's why some teachers schools choose to start at 7:30 because you have all the energy. And as the day goes down, this wane, the energy wanes. So if you start at 7:30, 30 minutes, and we usually take maths first because it needs a lot of concentration. And then English second. It's for a purpose. If you take maths in the afternoon, you won't have the best of concentration from your children because they are human. So let's say you have 30 minutes of maths, 30 minutes of English, that's already an hour. You can have another 30 minutes, 1.5 hours, and I think it's good after 1.5 hours. You give them some 15 minutes straight. Now remember, if you say I'm going to have a coffee break, I'll pick my coffee and come back and sit down. But allowing them to leave the classroom and coming back, disciplinary is just not that easy. You keep screaming and shouting, come back, come back. Once they leave the room, it means you must sort of ask them to come back. So don't compare the two, they are not the same. What we can do, they cannot do it. So you give them specific time and you ensure that they come back, else you distort the next lesson. So for you saying that we can go for 15 minutes, walk and come back, you don't do that to those kids.
Okay. So at that point in time where they are, you are talking about a certain level of resistance.
Yes.
In public schools, what disciplinary regime is available and is within the remits of acceptance for you to put a child right?
Well, those days the cane was there, either the prefect or the class prefect or the heads or the class teacher. Sometimes even the headmasters come along. Even in secondary schools, you find assigned headmasters running around kids with sticks. Now it's not the normal norm. So you have to find a way, make sure the class is well controlled, that when you say come back after 30 minutes, they are back after 30 minutes. They have some unorthodox ways, like if a child comes late, she stands at the back, she kneels down, you know, you take some privileges from the child. But those things are not encouraged, unless the child really is a recalcitrant one. You try to encourage them to come within the time. It's training. Remember, you are training the body. It's not so regimental that, you know, if they don't come, you beat them, or you, it's not always you give sanctions. Because they feel like enjoying, and you must allow them to enjoy that childhood behavior. So it's not a barrier where you say you come back at 10:30 or you get a cane. You have to adapt means and ways of making sure they come to listen and they're interested in listening to what you are saying.
So are you saying there are no canes in staff common rooms in public upper primary schools now?
We have, but it's not encouraged, and we are not to encourage it. You are trying to discipline the child. It's not the cane that disciplines the child. Of course, you have to identify that some kids, without the cane, like I said the other time, you spread the rot and spoil the child. There are some of them, whatever you do, the cane must appear.
Because in that time, Mommy, your socks had to be sparkling white.
Yes.
You had to polish your shoes. You had to do certain things. And these were students or pupils that came from varied backgrounds.
Yes.
So for a huge class, Saito, I didn't go to Saito, for a huge class of 40, 50, when they don't uphold the tenets of hygiene, would you only say that because it's not appropriate to sanction, you won't cane them, they'll continue to be the unkempt and disheveled people, young people they are? There's no policy that you shouldn't sanction. The type of policy is what you can discuss. And like I'm saying, they said you should no more cane the child. But there are schools where they cane. We've been seeing it on the tele, we've seen appearances. Some have even gone to the law courts. The teacher before the class is in control. You should, within a certain given time, know what is suitable for each child. I mean, it's there. And so if you realize the child is the type that, except the cane, the child won't change, maybe. But remember, some parents don't take kindly to that. And because the law is there that you should not, you don't have to do it. And I'm repeating that, yes, some of them you use the cane, they get worse. Some of them you use the cane, they're okay, and they won't do it again. You need to study that child before you know what punishment will bring the child back to life. When we come back, I ask Madame Nancy Yelpoi what role parents have to play in the development of the kids in the upper primary. Do stick and stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
Bra Nyankopɔn bo ni wiase no. Wɔtena ase din hunu sɛ nneɛma wɔ bo yɛ nyina yɛ. Na adebɔ nto aso ba akɔ de hye nipa nsa ne awo. Ɛne sɛ obi bɛwo aba wiase na kola na didam. Obi nso so ɛba wiase ansa na wabenya ɛfa akwanhyia mu. Ɛnam saa yɔ so ma Kantanka television. Ɛde dwumadie sonko kura din ɛda so ne makosɛm. Ɛbrɛ wo na dwumadie so ɛna wobɛhu obi a wɔfuru kube ɛkɔte ɛbɛgyina kwan ho ɛtɔn. Saa nso na obi a n'ani afira na wɔyɛ wo wɔwɔ ɛyɛ ɛho bibia. Wobɛhu obi ɔtete ahahai ɛne deɛ wɔno nso so ɛyɛ samana. Wɔn mo nyinaa ani afira. Na yasan so ne atitiriw atwetwe nkɔmmɔ afa mprewani nsɛn. Awaregya yɛ ho nsonsansoɔ ɛne nkwadaa a yɛde wɔn kɔ nkoaso. Na bɛmo ahunu sɛ abrabɔ na wɔbɔ no akyea nso emu.
Do you want to enroll your ward in a school where quality basic education, discipline and moral upbringing is our hallmark? Then come to Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences Basic School. Great Asas, Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences has vacancies in preschool, lower and upper primary, JHS 1 and JHS 2, with spacious and ventilated classrooms. The school also has excellent boarding facilities for students from upper primary to JHS. Great Asas also has a well-stocked library, a school bus that picks your ward from home to school and back home, with adequate security measures to ensure your ward's safety. Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences Preschool has state-of-the-art learning materials to make learning fun for your ward. We also have the cadet corps and a cultural troupe to tap hidden talents in your ward. Locate Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences at Awoshi Last Stop, Accra. Great Asa.
8 seconds. You're welcome back. I was asking, for most families, especially those who have kids in public schools, you can have a father who, throughout your days in basic school, from class 1 to class 6, he wouldn't even know the address to your school. So what is the concept of PTA and how does it encourage learning at that level? Because some kids are even excited to point to their parents and say, my dad came for PTA meeting.
Yes, it's very important because the parents are supposed to know exactly what is happening within the school environment. And so when you punish a child, they should understand. So we call for PTA meetings for them to be part of the school system, that they can coexist with the administration to run the school. But like I said before, every child has a personal idiosyncrasy. So that's why you cannot just say, okay, we use the cane and every child will succumb. It's not possible. The teacher in front should know there's a lot of work for that. That's why teachers do a lot of child psychology. I repeat that some of them, the cane helps. Some of them, the cane will never help.
How will you know?
Well, you know, some of them, you cane them, they go home, they won't come back to school. And you see they are resisting you, the teacher, they are angry with you throughout. You probably have to go back to coax them. It's there. And even your own children, you realize some of them, you beat them and they do the right thing. Some of them, you beat them and they recoil. And the parent will tell you, this is my particular child, I don't know where she or she comes from. That's part of human nature. You need to study every child as an individual. And so if you come to the school, in fact, you see how the children behave, and you yourself will know whether your child is doing well in terms of behavior or not. If it's on the day they are giving like an open day or prize giving day, if your child is number 13 out of 10, you know how to rate the child. If the child is the last, 45, number 45, I don't think you take kindly to it. So it's better to go and see than to stay away from the child.
And with parent-teacher interaction, middle-income families may want to come around and do little favors to teachers, and the teachers end up giving more attention to their kids. Is that fair?
I don't think so. I don't think they give more attention to the kids. Because in the class, teachers are sort of, they want to deal with children who are educated.
Yes, I'm listening.
They want to deal with children who at least are intelligent, children who behave well. And for that reason, they are attracted to intelligent children. And so you cannot come out as a teacher with training to say, okay, you've given me a favor, so I should treat your child better. I mean, a real teacher who goes through training wouldn't do that.
Okay. Away from the parental issue, Then materials, the materials that are used in upper primary. What kind of teaching aids are available and what kind of books do they use now?
Teaching aids should be available throughout the system. It's just the money matter. If you are teaching a subject and a child cannot pick it, the teaching aids come in handy. And so it depends if it's maths. You cannot teach maths like you are teaching history. That's where we have the problem in some schools. If you are a good mathematician or a maths teacher, you should find some kind of aids. I mean, just don't throw your hands into oblivion like you can't do anything about it. That is why the Maths Association is there. They should come together and try to find some teaching aids to make teaching more interesting. So every subject should have teaching aids. But of course in the primary school, because it's difficult to grasp a concept, the teaching aid helps. What is a triangle? They see it. But yes, in the senior primary, you know what a triangle. But to tell primary school children that a triangle, I mean, you must be deceiving yourself. So teaching aids, to be precise, are very useful, and if you can get them.
So you mean the tangible ones?
Yes.
If it is a square, you show a square and all that. And then I even hear...
You know, people absorb pictures faster than just talking. If you are teaching like you are philosophizing, they don't take much of it. So try to show them the pictures.
Finally, on mathematics, with graphs, is it that you need to go extra rather than sketching on a plain board, or I hear there are new tools that are used for them?
Yes, for example,
so we have those in schools, in public upper primary schools.
But if you sketch a triangle on the board, it's still better if you show them a picture of a triangle. I mean, the picture stays forever. That's what we have to understand. But when you go home, you are trying to figure out what a triangle is. But if you have a picture of a triangle, it stays forever. So whatever teaching aids they can get, yes, now we have all sorts of modern teaching aids. Then we come back to the problem of money. Can the school acquire the teaching aids? Does the teacher self feel it's relevant? And every teacher should try to improve his teaching by trying to get some teaching aids.
Okay. At the upper primary level, does government make provision to distribute free dictionaries for the students? Do you have such materials now?
Yes, we have, but normally they're in a limited quantity.
So they don't have access to dictionaries?
No, every primary school, or every school to be precise, should have a library. But you know, it's easier said than done. If you have a library and you have a dictionary, they're fine. If you can supply every class a dictionary, why not? But it's easier said than done, like I said. It's better you have a library where you keep these things. And so children are encouraged to use dictionaries. Of course, in the affluent secondary school, basic schools, they have all these dictionaries. I mean, your child will go to a school from P4 with a dictionary. It should be part of the learning aid. But others cannot afford it.
You had so many schools under your purview.
Yes.
Would you say every public school has a befitting library, or is a luxury?
I think library is not a luxury, but in this country we take it to be a luxury. We really take it to be a luxury. I remember some interview I went, they asked me if a fridge was a luxury for the poor.
A fridge?
A fridge. And I screamed that a fridge cannot be a luxury to the poor. It's just that we can't afford it. Because here you are, you cannot cook soup every day, so you need a fridge to store. But because you are poor, you say it's a luxury. It's not. The rich should give we the poor the fridges. In the same vein, a dictionary is not a luxury, a library is not a luxury. But even we set up public libraries in this country at the beginning when we were putting up the JSS. There's one in Nungwa, very close to the Nungwa post office. It's become a ramshackle place. It's money, it's investment. The general attitude is that it's not important.
And then
you go there, you are so frustrated. We set up a lot of libraries. I was part of it. You pass there and you feel like shedding tears. Now, if it's a public library, within a community like Nungwa, Tesh Nungwa, which is not super illiterate, it's sort of an affluent environment, and it was not appreciated, what else do you think we can do? I keep saying we must change our attitude if we want to do things better. The books disappeared, the librarian, I don't know, I don't even want to remember.
And then we don't respect librarians. Usually they are very old people uninspiring, some retirees. Can we inject some fun into libraries so that apart from school, there's a community library and you think it's a hangout? It's a place you can actually go and learn and have fun.
You would have loved to go and see the community library at Station Ongwa Estate.
A state of the art.
Very nice one. We got the books and we had to get donors to give us everything. The whole thing was marshaled up. A few years later, it was like a hideout for thieves and other things. So what happened to the books? What is the Ghana Library Board doing? It's there. We have these institutions in place. If we have to grow in this country, some people must be made to sit up. We have to wake some people up from their slumber. What is Ghana Library Board doing? It's the wing of the government and the educational institution that should be more interested. That's your farm, that is where you eat from. So we have structures in this country, no structure works and it's nobody's business.
So books are very important.
Yes.
And if in upper primary you are a parent and you come home and your child can't read a book, then it will be an eyesore. But in this time and age where there are so many telenovelas and we watch TV as a family, how can we still find our way to get upper primary kids to be interested in reading?
Everything.
Do you schedule TV watching time? How do you go around it?
A normal family should schedule TV watching time. There's the tendency to play for the child. Playing is part of a child's life. Misbehavior is part of a child's life. Distraction, these are all things children do. You have to control them. I'm sure when you were a child, you did worse things. I mean, that child without TV in the village survives. How come that your child with a TV cannot survive without a TV? We are making demigods out of everything we have around us. Yes, electronics has come, it's improved, and like I keep saying, if we don't chase it, it will run away from us. But you do not allow it to destroy your children. Schedule the time for them. I mean, a child needs some kind of restrictions. If you say they won't see it, they won't see it. Then some parent will come and say, oh, you are being too hard on the child. Okay, if you listen to other people, you bring up the children like their children. So you must give them time. Make sure they keep to the time schedules.
You keep your messages coming. Pretty shortly, you'll have the opportunity to call onto the show. We've got a few of your messages. Keep them coming on our WhatsApp line, 0242-817-239. In due course, Abena is going to read them. I'll ask you this question, Madam Nancy Yelpoi. Would you recommend that in upper primary we adopt open book assessment? So if it is an exam, the child can actually open the book, because people have argued that this idea of chew and pour is what is creating graduates in the final analysis that are not fit for purpose for the job market. Is it too much about how much they can memorize, or we can just open them so that they become practical in how they absorb, imbibe, and consume information?
I think these things, we must test them. You just don't take it as somebody is saying it. They chew and pour, whether it's negative or not, keeps the brain sharp. At least when I was in school, mental, they say, okay, it's time for mental. The first thing in the class in the morning. And you have to remember, it helps you to think fast. I mean, what is negative about it? This one, you say this one is not good, we move to this one is not good, till eventually we are at crossroads. How can you open the book and say you are writing an exam?
No, but in developed countries, they are doing it. When you go to Scandinavian countries and European countries, and they come out even better and more productive.
Yes, that is what you say. When they go home, what do? They read. They have access. They are made to be interested in whatever they are doing. So whether the book is there or not, they are interested in doing it at a very tender age. It is the level of training and the acceptance of what we want. You're talking about the Scandinavian countries. You know there are some countries where there are no policemen. Can you imagine Ghana without police? That is what it is. You take the best out of that system, and I always say make a hybrid. You can try to make a census. The Scandinavian countries, how many are there? What is the background of the child? They go for nursery, they go home, they have a whole room of play toys, they have a whole room of learning materials. You cannot transport that here, wholesale.
Here in some families, they spread a mat. There are 3 kids. If you don't come early, you can't even get a place to lie.
Yes, some places when the mat is not there. So you see, when we want to copy, we should copy and adjust it, amend it to suit our environment. But this whole idea of opening the book, and I was teaching, I was conducting an examination, and somebody wrote his own exam. Somebody told him that those questions were going to come. And the man came with it. Then he was copying. I just went and saw it, and I said, Che, will you stop copying? Then everybody was murmuring that I was so strict. I kept quiet. How much can you copy in an examination? How much? When you think it's fast. But if you are copying, you can't go far. And of course, I knew he was going to fail. So if you say copy, why is the person copying? You are testing the person's ability to recount, to recall. Why must the person copy?
Okay. At this juncture, we open the phone lines. You can reach us on 0558 656899, 0558 656899, in case you have any question to ask Madam Nancy Yelpoi. Ma'am, I would want to ask you this question as well. The transitioning from upper primary to JHS, some of the curricula that are used in other schools, the grades, they say you are in grade 5, grade 6. How different are those from ours, and how smooth is that transition in public schools?
The transition is very smooth because you are going from P6, whether you call it grade 1, that is from P4, P5, P6, that's grade 3, or you call it grade 6 from P1. The transition in the public school is quite smooth because the number is there. And those days they used to write exams.
Sorry, we take our first caller. Hello, and thanks for making time. And kindly lower the volume on your set. You can actually put off your TV set and we'll still hear you. Hello?
Okay. Are you okay now?
Yes, but speak up a bit.
Good morning, Ibad.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm superb. I hope you are cool too.
Yeah, but I think what Madam is saying, I think that is what we all went through. So I think the changes that have been coming has made now education look somehow. Our children don't understand what they are doing. I could remember we went through the primary education, middle school, then we went to secondary school. We did this one, but now things are very. I can say most of the children academicals that are known are those who went through the whole system. And they are doing well. Up to now, there are some doing well. And they are in the top position. Why can't we reverse back? Make some small changes to suit what we are doing now. We pick a modern attribute. Something like this KG. Fine, it's a good idea, KG. Because if you have a child and you can't take care of him and he's doing the KG, it's fine. But at least we've done it so modern that we want to compare with the foreign. I don't think it will help us.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing your views. He's quite conservative. He says the best we have now are those who went by the old system. So why bother about swallowing hook, line, and sinker? What others are doing in their countries?
The world has become
a global
village. And you don't know when your child will be flying out, when you get an opportunity to go out. So if you bring this child up, just the way you think should be a Ghanaian child in learning, the child may be found wanting in some areas. That's why I always insist that we should try to make a comparison and then do a hybrid.
Okay. Sorry, ma'am. Hello, your name and where you calling from?
Hello, my name is Mawina.
Mawina from?
Yes, from Abelempe.
Okay, welcome from Abelempe.
Thank you. I am very much in love with the program today. Today is my first time of watching it, and I'm very happy you are talking about education. I live very close to a government school, and I've been to a government school before. I'm in my early 30s. You need to be neat, your shoes need to be well polished, your hair needs to be okay, your uniform needs to be ironed. Now it's not like that. Even in Adelente, which is in town, students are they are speaking vernacular, teachers are selling on campus, forcing children to buy things they are selling. Education is not more like it used to be. And some time ago, I wanted to partner with corporate. We have a lot of companies in Adelente. I need to see Adelente Primary School, here. I tried getting some of the companies to help the school, even if it is with learning material. But from the headmasters, the things you need to even go through to help the school is another problem. You need to go to Ghana Education Service to get accreditation. You need to register. You need to do a whole lot of things just to even help a school to get learning material.
Okay.
To make the system
Thank you so much, my lady. Very passionate about her thoughts. She's asking about the falling standards. Kids are forced to buy food because the one selling the food is a wife or an auntie to the headmaster. And the kind of spectacle we used to see, being spick and span, children are not really taken care of. And then there's a lot of bureaucracy. If you want to be innovative in a public school to enhance education, and dealing with the Ghana Education Service becomes very difficult because of the bottlenecks.
Yes, madam, the bottlenecks are there, but if you are passionate about bringing up a holistic child the way you are talking, you can always find a way out. If it is your private school, that is what you want to bring up. You want to see a holistic child. You make sure that the one cooking the food does it well, not necessarily because it's your sister. Makes it tasty, not necessarily because it's your sister. I mean, you cannot go away from this nepotism type of...
The line has not been too helpful. Let's
Yes.
see this time around. Hello, your name and where you calling from?
Hello, my name is Richard Alobu.
And can you speak up a bit, bro?
We can hear.
Yeah, my name is Richard Alobu.
Okay, Richie, thank you so much for making time.
Yes, this is your former mechanic.
From where?
From Nima.
How are you?
Place. I'm fine, boss.
Okay, so what's on your mind?
Yes, you know, those days we are going to see that...
we are really struggling to
the
hear you, bro.
The Roman school, those mission schools,
Yep.
they did well. But now, I don't know the reason why the government have to take the school from the mission schools they took over. And as they took over, things are not like those days we go to school. So if the mission can take their school back and run their school, I think it is going to be better. Because those days there is a discipline, good discipline over there. But now there's no discipline. You see the children in the street, as one color call, they don't comb their hair, they don't iron their uniform. The parents don't know what the children are doing. So I think if the mission school can continue, take their school back and put those discipline down, it will be okay for us.
Thank you so much
Thank you.
for making time. In lower grades, missions don't control schools, do they?
That's
I
what-
thought it was in senior high school.
Yeah, that's his complaint, that the mission should take back the schools. And then they will train them the way they used to. But my brother, you see, it's a choice, and then it's a determination. I have been to supervise mission schools, the Catholics, the Presby, the Methodists. It depends on the head of the school. If the head is determined to train them the way he was trained, it's fine. But sometimes you go to a Presbyterian school and there's a Methodist there, and there's a bit of conflict.
Could this be our last call? Hello, thank you for making time.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm superb, thank you, and you?
Mr. Ibrahim, I'm enjoying your program.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I just want to congratulate Madam for the way she has presented herself. Actually, Africa, we cannot copy the European style of learning. As Madam said, if you go to where you are saying that you are using their books to write, you see a kid, even 2 years, having a toys, learning from.
Your line is a bit screechy. Would you lower the volume on your set or reposition yourself?
Okay. What I'm saying is that if you go to European countries where they are using their books to write exams, am I clear?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, so we are also learning from it. And Africa is different from elsewhere. So I think opening your book and writing examples is not permitted.
Okay.
But let us learn how to make sure that our curriculum is better for us.
Okay, thank you so much, my brother. Thanks for making time. You can tune into the show on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays in the mornings from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And there is a repeat on the same days at 10:30 p.m. late at night, and then on Saturday at 11 a.m. and then on Sunday at 3 p.m. And thank you for accepting the show. The program is agenda-driven. We are not driven by news. Headlines today, a new set of headlines tomorrow. We want to stay the course and then exhaust all the issues that need to be exhausted to make the needed impact. So thanks for being very dedicated viewers. At this juncture, even though you have the opportunity to make your closing remarks, I welcome Abena Safo. Abena Safo, what do you have for us by way of text messages?
Okay, I've got some few comments. This one says, all in all, our education system needs a complete overhaul and total transformation from the subject to language used, and most importantly, a new crop of a teaching workforce that can train the kid of skilled workforce for the future. And the next one says, good morning, Kantanka TV. I am Alex from Brekum. I want authorities to take consideration of our culture before considering that policy of children rights and allowing children to misbehave. And then another one from Nanayao from Techiman. I think children should be disciplined when they go wrong. And then another one from Enes. Enes is from Ningwa actually. I blame teachers in some way. This is because they abuse the power given to them to take care of children. And then our last one from Maxwell. Maxwell from Sankori. I think our syllables should be revived because we need to go with the new trends of education. Thank you so much for the comments coming.
Okay, Abena, thank you so much. That is Abena by way of text messages. We have a minute or so to go. And Abena's last message, keeping up with the times. Some people even mention artificial science, robotics, and others. This is how we are struggling at the upper primary level. In closing, what are your recommendations, and how do we give the kids an education that is custom-made for us, but it's in keeping with international standards at the upper primary level?
Yes, the teachers really should be encouraged to work harder because it depends on the teacher. We're talking about including our culture. There's no culture in Ghana that allows a child to be rude to the adult. And so if the child comes and doesn't greet, it's the duty of the teacher. And I think the parents too should encourage the children to greet. So I think it's there. The only thing is that we should give the teachers more training, tell them what we think is good. We take the good from the white man and take the good from here. We cannot survive with just bringing wholesale and sinker of any community into the Ghanaian community. We need it two sides. Okay. But the teachers should be encouraged to work harder. They need more training. I think that is our best bet.
Okay. Thank you so much. We had in the studios Madame Nancy Elpoy, former director, Ghana Education Service. Ma'am, thank you so much for making time as always.
As usual, always call me. God bless you, and thank you, everybody.
Till we come your way on Friday at 10 a.m. with a repeat at 10:30 p.m. Stay blessed and keep watching Kantanka TV. Have a good day. Madam, thank you so much.